We unfortunately mourn the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, but one of the 5 reasons Chazal say in Tainus that we fast on Shavasa B'Tammuz, leading into Tisha B'Av, is because Apastumas HaRasha burned the Sefer Torah. Difficult to comprehend. One Sefer Torah amongst thousands that was burned. Why would we have a fast day for 2,000 years commemorating the burning of that Sefer Torah? The answer is there's no such thing as just the Sefer Torah. And the Gemara says that when a Jew dies, the death of a Jew is like the burning of the Sefer Torah. And you tear Kriya at the death of a Jew, if you're in his home at Yitzias Neshama, just as if you witnessed the burning of a Sefer Torah. One Sefer Torah, one Jew that isn't alive is a cause for mourning. One Jew that returns to Torah is a cause for celebration. It's utilized these days to connect with all fellow Jews, to realize that we're the guarantors, that we have not fulfilled our obligation. We might learn Shas and Paiskim and Bavli and Yerushalmi, but if they're Jews who can't read Hebrew, who can't say the Shema, who don't put on tefillin and don't perform mitzvahs or keep Shabbos or keep kosher, we have not yet fulfilled our obligation in life. We are achroi, we're not yet yaitza. Let's use Tisha B'Av to increase the Avas Yisrael that's necessary, the Avas Chinam, to realize a moment in time, to take all our kaiches, to bring Yidden back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what Tisha B'Av is all about. We mourn the past, but we can plan the future. We look at the destruction of the Jewish nation morally, spiritually, physically, and here and now we can commit ourselves to bring Hadrat Torah Yoshin of the glory of Yiddishkeit back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, back to the Jewish nation. An increase in Torah and mitzvahs, the little insignificant seemingly things in life, those seemingly insignificant things can actually change the destiny of the Jewish nation. Mitzvah by mitzvah, individual by individual, family by family, it's well within our realm. Let's utilize the koyach of Tisha B'Av. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is here with us. Shchinta b'gelusa. If we show HaKadosh Baruch Hu a love for His children, He will show a love for our children. And together with all of Klal Yisrael, we'll be zeicher to the greatest celebration, when Torah will become foremost in our minds and our hearts. When we'll be dedicated to mitzvahs, to chesed, to avas Yisrael, avas chinam, and be zeicher to the coming of Mashiach Tzidkenu, the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash b'mehera v'yameinu. Amen.
There are 6 million Jews in America today. Over 90% are disconnected from Torah and mitzvahs.
You were married in Kentucky by a priest and a rabbi.
The intermarriage rate is 46%.
Half of Jews are intermarrying. That means that 2/3 of new households are intermarried households, and half of young adults now have intermarried parents.
Maybe we gave them a lot of religion. We gave them Judaism, we gave them Catholicism, we gave them the family school, we gave them church and temple.
Who is sitting at your Seder table? I mean, these are our friends, children, siblings, and cousins.
The situation is dire, but we can do something.
We've got to take the smaller steps. It's not something that's overwhelming. It's not something that we can't conquer. It is truly the smaller steps.
Outreach doesn't take a degree. All you have to do is go over to someone and say hello.
I knew this is what we have to do, and whether I'm nervous or not, that doesn't make any difference. This is what I need to do, so I'll do it.
Tisha B'Av. It's a time of tragedy. It's a time of mourning. But it's also a time of reflection. As we just heard Rabbi Leaf say so articulately, Tisha B'Av can be a time of real opportunity. Opportunity to take a look at what is happening in Klal Yisrael, and an opportunity to do something about it. You know, in some ways, the successes of the Jewish people are unprecedented. In Torah and Avodah and Gemilas Chasadim, in so many things that we've done. And at the same time, on the other side of the coin, the crisis has never been worse. With the intermarriage rate, the assimilation rate, the numbers Yes, they are truly numbing. We're almost tired of hearing them. What will happen to the Jewish people? And we've made great strides, no question about it. But at the same time, there's tremendous work left to be done. Tragedy, mourning. Unfortunately, this year, we know what that's about. Klal Yisrael has understood in a profound, new, and painful way what mourning is about as we mourned as a people. And at the same time, we also understood what it's like to mobilize as a people. It's been very difficult for all of us. We know what we're talking about. But at the same time, we stand here today and say we have to act. We're going to show you stories. Stories are kind of funny. They can inspire you, but they could also just entertain. You could laugh, you could cry, you could walk away, as so many of us do. What an interesting story. But that's not what it's really about. The stories we show you today are designed to help you act, to do something. We want to show you the stories that are remarkable, but at the same time, they are stories that you can and hopefully will relate to. That's why we're here. And hopefully, that's why you're here. Now I know what you're thinking. I'd like to help out. I'd like to reach out. I'd like to do something about this crisis. I think everybody should. You're in the right place. You've come to the right place. And maybe you've seen a Project Inspire film, maybe you've heard the stories and some of them are just astounding and you say, that could very well be me. I could be doing something. But you're hesitant. You don't know what to do. And one of the biggest things that stops you, that cuts you right in those tracks, is when you say to yourself, I just don't know non-frum Jews. Where are they? I want to reach out. I can't find them. Well, Pottsville, Pennsylvania. You'll probably find a few over there. I've never been there. You've probably never been there. I probably will never be there. Somehow, one Jew, a Jew that is probably the least likely in the world to be connected with Pottsville, Pennsylvania, he found it. And Pottsville found him. And the story is not only amazing, but it is inspirational. And it's true. Take a look.
My name is Yoel Rubin. I live in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, which is a very frum neighborhood. A couple of years back, I decided to go to a Kiruv training seminar. And then after I came out of the class, I was kind of thinking to myself, how do I get to meet non-frum people?
My name is Morris Brill. I live in Pottsville, Pennsylvania, north of Philadelphia, and we have a small Jewish community, but it is not Torah observant. My Jewish background is a little bit different than a lot of people. My parents gave me away to a Jewish organization when I was 2 years old. I lived in a couple of foster homes. Nevertheless, I did have Jewish background and I lived as a good person, you know, but I didn't know all the rules and visions and aspirations of Orthodox Judaism. A non-Jewish friend of mine told me about a website called Got Torah. It's a forum. There's rabbis on there and there's very learned people. And I would go there every night and, you know, there would be a message left and you would answer it and just a conversation through different messages.
There was one Jew who I saw he was asking a lot of questions and he was very sincere and he had very deep and profound questions. And I reached out to him, I gave my phone number and I told him, if you have any questions, just call me, let me know, and I'll try to help you. I'll do whatever I can to make things simpler for you. He asked me questions and we went through a lot of questions. First it was like surface questions and then we went deeper in, wanted to know more about things we do and how we do it, why we do it. Eventually I decided that it would be best for us to have a study together, a weekly study, instead of just going back and forth with questions. And I gave him the choice what he wants to study. He wanted to study Jewish law. Every week, you know, he would call me on the dot. Like, we arranged it for 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. He would call me at 8 p.m. the phone would ring. And there was Morris, and we would sit down and study together. And this was like almost the best part of the week, except for Shabbos, of course.
We spend an hour and a half going through the blessings and rules of Judaism.
Sometimes I do something for him and I don't even realize. Then he tells me a few weeks afterwards that this or this thing that I did or I said made such a profound impact on him. And he's so excited about the whole journey.
The way I felt is that I couldn't believe how warmly he accepted me.
One day he asked me a question whether participating in a Halloween, candy giving, if that's Jewish or not, if that's against Jewish law. So I looked up the whole concept of Halloween, and I came back to him with the answer that it's not really permissible to be part of, because it's based on idolatry, the whole holiday of Halloween, and it looked like he was missing out on it. So I gave him an offer to come down to my house on Purim. I told him we have customs, we have kids, and we have candies, and we have even much more fun than a Halloween party. So come join us for Purim, and I think you'll be delighted. And he immediately accepted my invitation.
Which was a whole new awakening to drive into the Hasidic area of Brooklyn. And I was a nervous wreck, but I got out of the car, and I guess I was the only man in the 2 square miles that didn't have, a beard, and I was totally different. But I got out of the car and I was walking down the street towards Yoel's house, and some young men passed with their long, satin coats and the beard and pass, and they said, "Shalom, hi, this, that," and all of a sudden I felt very comfortable. It's like, wow, I'm accepted, because I thought like I wouldn't, an outsider wouldn't be well accepted. It was a misconception that people have about Torah observant people, that they're, they don't want you around them.
And the experience for him just to be with Orthodox Jews together, he was never like so bound together, dancing together the whole day, and everybody was inviting and open to him. Everybody greeted him and gave him blessings and danced with him.
I had one of the best dinners I've had in 20 years. Gefilte fish and real roast corned beef, warm corned beef, and chicken soup, and delicious challah. The highlight of the day is when he asked me if I would like to put on the tefillin. And I told him I had never done that and didn't know how. He says, "Well, I'm going to show you how." And I was like a little nervous, because I just didn't feel I was holy enough to. All along I kept on thinking first you had to become holy before you could do a mitzvah. But now what I've learned over these past few years is that if you do the mitzvah, that in itself, first do the mitzvah, then you'll become more holy. They don't wait for for some sign that you're holy and you deserve to do it.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
And when he put on the tefillin for me and he handed me the siddur and I read the Shema, it was just like I had entered a whole new realm of understanding and emotion.
And now he's saying the Shema every morning and night, and he's saying the morning blessings. Every little step he took was a whole big deal for him. This was an amazing experience for me, for myself, to see how much a person can grow in such a short time, just by having somebody reach out to him. It was an amazing addition to my own personal growth. We have a very close relationship. My kids almost consider him like a great uncle. He constantly buys them gifts, and they keep calling him, saying hello when he calls back. And we send the pictures of the children. So he's like an extended family member now. And he just came to visit me today, just to come by and spend time with the family together. And we never had in common anything except that we're Jews, and now we're family.
I really feel for the first time in my life Jewish, but to be truly Jewish.
Yogati umatzasi tamen. He went after it and he found it. You can believe him. What if Yoel had just said, like so many of us say, I just don't know anybody? What if he had said that? Never would have met Morris, Morris never would have had that corned beef. And he never would have said those magical words. First do a mitzvah, then become holy. Isn't that incredible? He really understood. How did he find it? The answer to me is very simple. Yoel found Morris because he knew that he had to. That's how he found him. When we feel motivated, when we feel like we have to do this, you can be sure Hashem's going to put you in the right place. He's going to find a way for you to be involved and for you to make a difference. It's got to come from here. It's got to come from the fact that you really want it. When you really want it, it will find you, even in Pottsville, Pennsylvania. Here's another very popular misconception. It's one we use all the time. You use it. Frankly, I use it myself. And that is, we just don't have the time. Kiruv takes time. It's an ASIC. It's an endeavor. It's a whole project. I don't have the time. I'm too busy. We use it as an excuse for lots of things, and Kiruv is included. Well, take a look. Here's a choshev Rav who does not have a lot of time, and yet he seizes the opportunity. In a very, very, very short few seconds, he makes a very slight gesture in a most unlikely place, and the results are astounding.
My name is Ephraim Eliyahu Shapiro. I'm the Rav of Congregation Sharei Tefillah in North Miami Beach, Florida. I walked into the restaurant that day with my wife and teenage daughter. She had just finished midterms, and so we felt that we would take her out for a brunch just to relax a little bit after an entire week of taking tests. We sat down at a table, the three of us, on one side of the restaurant, and we were about to start ordering, and all of a sudden our attention was drawn on the other side, about 20 feet away. We heard a commotion, and we turned to see. We saw 4 women who were yelling at this young Israeli waiter. We felt our hearts went out to him, and he was listening, and he was taking this verbal abuse. And the key is that he didn't respond. He suffered the insult, he suffered the humiliation in silence.
I was working in a restaurant, and a woman was shouting at me for some reason, and I just, normal. I didn't respond to her.
After a few seconds, my wife turns to me and she says, Ephraim Eliyahu, why don't you call him over? You know that he remained silent. He didn't respond. He didn't say a word in response to these women.
Rabbi Shapira asked me to sit down next to him. Told him I can't, I'm working. He told me, you just don't know what you did. Asked him, what did I do? He told me that from the halacha, not from the halacha, from the Gemara, they say that when a person, that somebody shout on him, he deserved to give a bracha, a blessing.
And I turn to him and I say, Shoam, I'm a rabbi here in the North Miami Beach community. Ten li bracha. I want a blessing from you.
I said to myself, I'm not religious, I'm not keeping Shabbat, I'm not even eating kosher. I'm not doing anything. Who am I to give a rabbi blessing?
And I looked at him. I looked at him straight, and I said, I'm serious. Based on the Gemara in Shabbos, we know that if a person's humiliated and they don't respond, and they suffer in silence, they have the power to give a bracha. I turned to him and I said, Shoam, ten li bracha, please. I'm here with my wife and one of my children. Give us a bracha. And he turned, he realized how serious I was, that he had this unique power because he didn't respond to all of their yelling and embarrassing comments. And he turned to the three of us and he gave us a beautiful, beautiful bracha, and the three of us answered a loud, resounding Amen. And we thought the story ended there.
After 5 minutes, I walked to him and I asked him, listen, maybe you have somebody who can learn with me Torah.
And there on the spot, in fact, I took down his number on the back of the receipt, on the back of the bill. I ran outside, I called one of the Jungelite in the North Miami Beach Kollel, Rabbi David Singer, and I said, Rabbi David, please, there's someone who wants to turn his life around, someone we can reach out to, please start learning with him.
I got a call from Rabbi Shapiro. He told me the whole story about how he met Shoam in the restaurant, and he wanted to know if I'd be able to learn with him. So I called up Shoam on the phone, and I was not expecting at all to get a call back. And lo and behold, a couple hours later, he called me back, and he said, Rabbi, I want to learn, let's go for it. I said, fine.
Before I walked in, I was in my car. I was waiting maybe a couple of minutes, like 10, 15 minutes, deciding if I should do it, if I should go in there, just to go. I was afraid. I was afraid to go in. I don't know why. I got the courage to go in finally. After I learned with him, I went out with a good feeling. Easy, I kept going, once a week to the lessons.
As we learned, Shoam's interest in learning grew tremendously. Every single time we learned, he'd call me up and he'd come in with shilas, with questions, really questions that only a real Erech Yid would ask. I want to be very strict on Shabbos, and he called me, I do this, and I daven this way, and about kashrus and teveling and going to the mikveh, taking his kalim to the mikveh, and how she does it, makes a bracha, which is a good kosher mikveh, which is not. On and on to tell me about these things. And he was so adamant about learning, he'd call me up, Rabbi, we're learning today, yeah. And if he would miss, he'd call me again, Rabbi, can we learn over the phone, something? And his ahavas Torah, the love that he had for learning Torah was just tremendous. And all he wanted to do was learn more and more halachas, more clarity, more philosophy, more derech Hashem, more Pirkei. He wanted to understand Yiddishkeit. It was like a child going to candy.
And at the same time, I went to the mikveh for the first time in my life. I went to the mikveh. I felt pure. I don't know how to say it to you. I don't know. I felt that I want to get to this world.
And after a year and a half, we can tell you that he's a chozer b'tshuva, and his wife, she became a chozeres b'tshuva. They started to keep all of the halachos ad ve'ad bechlal. They run to shiurim. They went ahead and kashed their kitchen. Everything that they could possibly do to strive and be the finest b'nei aliyah, the finest balei tshuva.
All I can say is that you changed my life. Changed my life. That's it. Thank you very much. One word can change the whole world. It's amazing what happened to me. I didn't believe that a word like that will do something like this in my heart.
Unbelievable. Look what happens. 3 words, Tein li bracha. Look at the results. I know we don't have time. Do we have enough time for 3 words? Maybe we do. I've seen this so many times. Balei Tshuva will come up to me and say, do you know how interested I was? No one ever approached me. I wanted to hear, I wanted to know, I wanted to put meaning in my life. But no one ever came up and said, I have something that is so wonderful and meaningful and interesting for you. And because of that, I had to wait until the time finally came. So many times we think they're not really interested. They have their own lives, they have a family, they don't have a family, they have a job, they're interested in their own lives. They don't need Judaism. How wrong we are. Not only do they need it, they want it. Today is Tisha B'Av. We're thirsty. You know what? They're thirsty too. Your brothers, your sisters, they're thirsty for the Dvar Hashem. They really do want it. I can tell it to you from my own experience so many times. Watch now how one man discovers how interested people really are and how much of a difference he can make.
My name's Josh Brodie. I live in Boca Raton, Florida. I've lived here for the last 11 years. And I was incredibly inspired about 2 years ago on Tisha B'Av when I saw the movie called One Soul. I can tell you that when I went to the movie, I didn't anticipate anything other than just seeing a fantastic documentary, a fantastic film that was put together.
My father taught me Pirkei Avos, yeah? And Pirkei Avos says, "B'mkom she'ein anoshim yishtadel liyosesh." If there's nobody else doing the job, you've got to do it. You've got to try. We can't fail. The Almighty is with us. If He helps us, we can't fail. And He wants to. We have a Torah which is beautiful beyond compare. We just have to present it the right way. We have a people who are thirsty for meaning, who are thirsty for truth, who are idealists in every way, who are the most charitable, the most active for the poor. They want truth, they want meaning. We have to do our job. We can't fail if we just make that effort.
When I walked out of the film, I realized that something had changed, something very big had just happened to me. And I wasn't really sure what it was, I wasn't really sure what had taken place, but I knew something very important was going on.
What happened was Josh realized that he could really make a difference. So he started reaching out to people in his community.
My name is Dr. Stephen Lemberg. I'm from Boca Raton, Florida, and I am a physician.
I'm Mitchell Roberts. I originally from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I retired down here 5 years ago to Boca Raton.
Hi, my name is Jeff Klein. They call me JD Klein here. And I'm currently living in Delray Beach, Florida.
Seeing his joy just made me feel like I wanted to get to know him better, and I went up to him and told him that I had gone away from my faith for many years because when I was younger, we went to Yom Kippur, my friend and I, after our bar mitzvah. We were feeling our faith strongly at age 13. And we went to bar mitzvah, to Yom Kippur, and the people at the door said, "Boys, where are your tickets?" And we said, "We don't have any tickets." "Well, you have to have tickets to come in." And we said, "But we just had bar mitzvahs and we love our religion, we love God, we want to come in. Anyway, even though we don't have tickets, can you let us come in?" And they said, "No, we're very sorry. You can't come in without buying tickets." So at that time, my friend and I both went home totally disillusioned, took off our yarmulkes, put on our football clothes and started throwing the football around, and that led to about a 30-year period of leaving the faith, so to speak. I always knew I was Jewish, but I never really felt it after that. I said, this religion of mine, I don't know. So when I met Rabbi Brodie, I said, here's a man who has the joy of Judaism and the joy of God. And for me, that was very illuminating. I said, I have to meet him and spend more time with this man of God. And I looked at a man who was so confident and so filled with a joy of God that I said, if he's connected like that, this is the place for me.
He makes everybody feel comfortable. Every Shabbat, I can't wait to the next Shabbat. Every Friday, I hope the next day's Friday.
You know, to be honest, I never thought I would, that I would ever do this. Show up to shul on Friday night. It's an amazing thing and something that I need and I miss. Josh is just a very, very warm guy and able to really reach into our souls and and affect us, and I just really feel, good. My week feels great, once we bring in the Shabbos Queen.
When I meet with people that come in on Shabbos and it's their first time ever experiencing a Shabbos, whether it's in the shul, whether it's in my home, they get a chance to meet with my family, they get a chance to meet my children. When you have people that walk into a Shabbos, and I can tell you probably have never seen someone cry at a Shabbos table, but it's so simple. All I'm going to ask you to do is when you invite someone to experience a Shabbos, go bench your children. Give them a bracha. They'll say, what are you doing? Well, We do this every week. We give our children a blessing. Well, you want to know something? They'll do it, and the tears won't stop.
It's unbelievable what Josh did, but he went further. He understood that if he really wanted to impact his community, he would need an army. Reb Noach Weinberg Zatzal always said that if we want to get the job really done, we're going to need an army to do it. And Josh, he took those words to heart. Watch.
I was incredibly inspired to look at our community, do some quick research, and find out that there are approximately 125,000 Jews living within 10 minutes of here. And you look around and you say, well, even if there are a few people that are doing some form of outreach, there's really not a lot of people doing it. So I called up a few friends, I got a few people together. We in fact watched the film again together. After seeing this, we put together a game plan which originally was called the Florida Jewish Experience. After realizing that the Florida Jewish Experience might be too of an ambitious project, we narrowed it down and called it the Palm Beach Jewish Experience. Realizing that the Palm Beach Jewish community is incredibly large, we narrowed that down and called it the Boca Raton Jewish Experience. The Boca Raton Jewish Experience was launched. It's a program which just begun. And we got people in our community to respond to the call for outreach, to go out and find us people. Using the Project Inspire model, which was perfectly executed, we went out and we said to our members, we went out to said to the people that live in our community, just speak to the person that you work with. Go knock on your neighbor's door and let them know that there's going to be a program taking place.
He gave a beautiful Devar Torah. He was talking about Kiruv in our community, and he really inspired me. Having a strong background in Yiddishkeit and in learning, he inspired me really to open myself up to the people around me. And I find that every day when I'm in the hospital, I'm meeting patients. I'm seeing patients or doctors that have names that there was no way you'd ever know that they were Jewish. And when they see my kippah, suddenly they open up. Oh, my mother was Jewish, my grandmother was Jewish. It's really incredible.
Right after our beginner service for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we had our first major event. We worked out an arrangement with Eish HaTorah to bring discovery to our community. We thought maybe we would get anywhere from 100, maybe 200 people to show up. All in all, after the event, we had 350 people that showed up to this community, to Boca Raton Synagogue for the Discovery Seminar. Following the Discovery Seminar, we started a whole new campaign, which was called Share One Shabbos, where we went over to our membership and we said to them, listen, you guys all know someone that has never had a Shabbos experience. Why don't you invite them? And we're not just going to do this in isolation, we're going to do this as a community. We had 10 people sign up, then we had 20 people. By the end of the campaign, before the Shabbos began, we had more than 200 families in our community made a commitment to invite someone for Shabbos. We believe that there were almost 1,000 people on Montoya Circle who had never experienced a meaningful Shabbos before. And it was such an incredible experience.
You see a significant number of people involved in shul classes, coming to shul on Shabbos, that are not part of the community than ever before. On any given Shabbos, you will see scores of people coming in for Shabbos, for davening, for classes.
The impact on the attendees of these various outreach programs is they get to see Judaism in a different light than they've seen it in the past. In the past, a lot of them have seen it as, it's just something my parents did, it's something that, you know, I have some connection to, but that's really all. And they see it now as, wait a second, there's depth inside of our religion, there's joy and love and excitement in our religion. And I think that the outreach program is really showing it to them, and that's a beautiful thing to see.
It's amazing. I mean, I just leave inspired and at peace, and I look forward to coming the next Friday. I make every effort to come on Saturday morning too, where he gives us a class. And I mean, I can sacrifice anything but this. I mean, this is really a priority. It's become a priority in my life.
It has changed my life to where that I wouldn't want my life any other way. You can probably ask my wife, because she prays all the time that I would come back to God, and I never left him, but you know, once she sees me with my kippah and I go to shul and things, it just brings tears to her eyes.
Yeah, we just drove through one of the shopping centers, and it's so interesting. If you take a look at the signs on each one of the storefronts, besides the supermarkets that are there, you see, Klein, Dr. Klein, or you see Dr. Cohen, this type of doctor, that type of business, the lawyer, Cohen and Cohen. Every single business in Boca, there's so many of them that they're literally calling out. You see the names. It's not saying Dr. Cohen. It's saying, I'm a Jew. The biggest beneficiaries of our community's emphasis and outreach is this community. The fact that we have all had to reflect on why we love what we love, why it's a treasure, and how we're going to sell it and share it and bring other people towards it has enriched us, has inspired our kids, has created a contagious feeling within the community. So I hope and I pray that we've influenced people's lives, individuals and families, but perhaps the greatest beneficiaries are our already observant families, is this already Orthodox community itself. Everyone that sees a yarmulke, everyone that sees someone who's wearing a Magen David, they're always going to approach you. They're going to say things like Good Shabbos. They're going to say things like, oh wow, where do I go and where can I buy some matzah this time of year? It happens all the time. And we make sure that everyone in our community is always well equipped to carry a business card that has some information of how they can take it to the next step, how they can take this personal experience which they're having and translate it to the next step where they can bring them into our community.
I know what you're thinking. I cannot become Josh Brodie. That's fine. No one expects you to become Josh Brodie. If you can, wonderful. But what you can do is remember what he started with. One by one by one. Each one individually, and eventually, that's how he turned over his whole community. I guess there were a few people that were interested in Boca, and there are probably a few people interested right around your corner. Just about every day I meet somebody who tells me, I'd love to do Kiruv, but I don't know enough. I don't know the answers. They're going to ask me questions. I don't know the answers. It's going to be embarrassing. You know what? I might even do more harm than good. Happens so often. What you're about to see is going to change your mind. It's going to show you very, very clearly that it's not about the answers. And it's not about their questions. It is simply about relating to another Jew. How you connect makes all the difference.
My name is Jonathan Vigda. I live in Brooklyn.
Jonathan is one of those very special souls who lives in our community. Aside from all his learning and everything else that he does, was actually a very successful weightlifter. And he can lift over amazing amounts of weight, 275 pounds plus. That's actually what he can do. And as part of his physical therapy, he would do a lot of weightlifting. He would go with his father to the JCH.
I met Brian at the JCH playing basketball, and after he started playing basketball, he weightlifted with me.
Jonathan was lifting weights, and Brian saw this young man lifting huge weights. He was just lifting, and he was a little bit concerned about whether his technique was right and whether or not he was lifting more than he should.
And he said he doesn't want me to hurt my back, so he would spot me in weightlifting.
He was very, very focused on his weightlifting, and at the same time he was focused on his relationship with Binyamin, and the two blended together beautifully. Jonathan would lift and lift probably 2 or 3 times a week, and Binyamin would be at his side doing that with him.
He wanted to know about Frumkeit, Judaism, so I invited him to my parents' house.
Jonathan did his job. He continued to keep Brian close and get him closer and closer to Yiddishkeit.
My name is Binyamin Skriloff. I grew up in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. I came from a very traditional type family. We were, I guess as you say, an assimilated family. Went to Reform Temple, and everyone around you had Christmas trees. Everyone around you had put down the Christmas stockings. They all sung different songs. So you started to become a part of it. But at the same time, there was something special about Jonathan that I really liked, and I just wanted to be around him. After we would work out, he would tell me about different things that were going on in his life, and he would tell me about certain, that this one had a bar mitzvah and this one had a wedding, and do I like to go to the Simcha Beis HaShleva in. Did I ever go to one? Did I ever go to the shul? He would tell me about his Torah learning. So I started to get interested. Oh, the Torah learning, right? People actually study that in depth. And at that time and now, I can't imagine not studying the Torah, but that people actually spend time and study that. Yeah. Oh yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan said I have a chavrusa, and I saw him, and all these things were swirling in my head. I said no, but I was very interested, and not so much because of Judaism itself at that point, but because Jonathan, I just like listening to Jonathan. We had a spiritual connection, a very good connection. But I guess more and more that he kept on bringing it up, the more and more I started asking questions. Some of the misconceptions that I had growing up started to fall away. At the time, again, then I started even wanting to gravitate toward them to find out, well, from my misconceptions in the past that I had about Orthodox people, I said, but that can't be. I'm around them now, and they're in quotes normal people. I guess after a while, like water wears away out of rocks. So after that, I started getting more and more observant. I started asking, well, maybe I should buy a pair of tefillin. I started big steps, starting to put on talis katan, started davening every day, maybe not mincha and Mara, but at least going to Shachris, and on and on. Something happened to me, and out of nowhere, I just said, you know what? I want to go to yeshiva. I told him at my office, and then remember my boss, who also went to Israel, said that he didn't want to let me go because he too also went to Eretz Yisrael, and his father physically had to come and get him. He said that the roads are paved with glue. If you go there, you're not going to come back. I said, no, I'm going to come back. I can't. I have my life. I have the business. I have to make a parnasa. He was right. I stayed here, Baruch Hashem. It wasn't easy, but Baruch Hashem. So now, Baruch Hashem, married, have 4 wonderful girls, wonderful wife. Can't thank Hashem enough. We're in a community, Baruch Hashem, in Ramat Beit Shemesh, and it gives me such nachas that at the Shabbos table, I didn't grow up knowing any of the Parsha Shavua, and they come home and they start speaking, rattling off in midrashim and psukim, and I see them. They would know all, they know a lot of nach, and they know a lot of things that I'm jealous. It gives me tremendous nachas to see that my kids are growing up in Eretz Yisrael. They have incredible midos, tznius. It's just an incredible feeling.
Imagine just from one basic encounter in the gym, lifting weights together, what can happen.
My daughter one time told my wife, looking at the sun going down, and she's 5 years old, and in beautiful Judean hills over here, and she said, Mommy, look. And I said, what? He said, look at the sun going down. She said, that's it. That's the way Hashem is going to give us the base of Migdash. That's it. That with all the lights coming out, and the way that the sun was. She said, that's how Hashem's going to give. That's where the base of Migdash is going to be. That's how it's going to look. So looking back now, it's almost teary. I would have missed out. I just can't imagine. I have a child that is so concerned about the base of Migdash.
Kiruv is not so hard. Anybody could do Kiruv. Me. It could be me. It could be anybody. To be nice with people, to respect them also, and to have a smiley face and be happy and let them know that you're happy and they'll follow the right track.
In one short story, what we just saw, we can see very clearly we can all do kiruv. It doesn't matter who we are or how much we know. It just matters what's in our hearts. It was 2 years ago today. It was Tisha B'Av. Josh Brodie was sitting watching the Project Inspire film just like you watched today. He saw it and he was inspired, just like you are today. But he didn't stop there. He took action. He took real action. And as you watch today, I'm hoping that, yes, you're inspired. You like it. You're going to tell your friends about it. Maybe you'll even see it a second time. That's not the question. The question is, what happens now? What are you going to do with this film? What are you going to do with the inspiration? What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do today? That's really the question. There's so much to be done. There are so many Sifrei Torah out there just waiting to be held, to be cradled. There are so many Sifrei Torah that are waiting for you. Question today that you have to ask yourself right now is, what can I do? And you can't wait. Because if you wait, as we know, the inspiration just withers. It goes away. We need action. We need you.
The way I felt is that I couldn't believe how warmly he accepted me.
When Rabbi Shapira smiled at me and asked me to give him a bracha, it was showing to me that the Judaism is a different way than what I was experienced before.
Truth is that if I met somebody that was interested in bringing me more into the fold, as opposed to just teaching me my Haftorah and thank you very much, and then losing me after that, if I would have met somebody like Rabbi Brodie, I know I would have been more involved.
Just a smile, just a simple question, a simple invitation for a Shabbos, a simple nod to the head, a simple just accepting your fellow Jew for who he is, can make a world of difference. Made a world of difference in my life, and it should make a world of difference. We should always be able to make a world of difference for each and every Jew.
We've made it easy for you. There are 3 ways that you can do something right now. On this very page, click on number 1. Number 1, Home Kiruv Training. If you host a home Kiruv training program in your house, get a few people together, Kiruv professional comes down, teaches you how to do it. Simple as that. Number 2, learn with a chavrusa. Learn with someone. Become a mentor for someone. Once a week, half an hour, 10 minutes, whatever it may be, your time, your schedule. Easy to do. Number 3, let's say you have somebody, you want to know what to do, you need advice. Very simple. Click on number 3 and someone will contact you, guide you through the process. Simple as that. 3 ways to do something right now. In this great schus of doing something to help bring back Hashem's children, may we all be zeicha to see the Binyan Beis HaMikdash again and the coming of Mashiach. Meher of Yomeinu, Amen.